Hello all, welcome back to our channel, and we are in our SQL Bootcamp series, and this is, I guess, third lecture where we are going to see how to create tables, how to use tables and all those operations and few basic constraints which are mandatory while we are creating the tables, right? All those things we are going to see. So before we start our session today, I hope you have gone through two previous sessions where we taught a bit of basic, and then we also taught how to create database. So guys, the approach should be like theoretical session. Anyway, you can google it and you will get multiple blogs on those topics, right? There is no problem in that, but main thing is practice, right? So when you go through the lecture, go to your system, open, and try to practice and implement all those things. If you get any error, I'm always there. You can type in the comment section, and I'll be able to help you there, right? Okay, with that, let's start the session today. And to start our session, let's connect the SQL server, right? Click on connect. Okay, so in our last session, we have created this database, and this is what we are going to use it, right? So new query in this one, correct? Okay, so there are two methods using which you can create tables. One is graphical method, which I'll be showing at the end of the lecture, but a recommended one is to create tables using the SQL queries, right? That is what we are going to see first. Okay, so so like I thought, why to waste time typing code? So what I've done is I've already prepared the query, which I'll be bringing in here, and I'll explain you. Okay, so these are the queries, and I'll be explaining each things in detail. So I'll paste here, right? Okay, so let's discuss the syntax of creating a table, right? This is the first section where we are creating this groups table. So what is the syntax? Create a table, table name, then start the bracket, first column name, and its data type, and then the constraint. So primary key is a constraint. So no one is going to ask you what is the syntax of creating a table, right? But they'll ask all these detail, like why we apply the primary key constraint, what is the constraint used on a table, right? So this is something you need to understand very carefully. Primary key is used in a table column to identify each records of that particular table uniquely, right? For example, let's say you have a take this one only, groups table, right? So in this, what I'll be doing is group ID. So let's say I given group ID 1, and the group name is, let's say, cycling. I give group ID 2, and group name is, let's say, swimming. Group 3, and group name is, let's say, something else, right? Let's say jumping or anything, whatever you want to give the name, right? So this group ID 1 is unique, right? It is not going to be used twice, right? That's why we give primary key. So it won't allow you to enter duplicate records in this particular column, correct? Okay. Now what is this not null constraint? So not null is, okay. Another related topic is like this primary key, it will allow one null, right? But when we are giving this not null, it is not going to allow any null value, right? So that's why we are giving this constraint. So these two constraint we have seen here. We'll be seeing one more constraint coming up, and on detail on this topic will be covered in coming lectures, but don't worry. Okay, so this is the structure. Now select this portion because we have understood this, and run this portion, right? So what you see is command completed successfully, and this much time taken. Now if you refresh here and go to this particular database and expand the tables section, you'll be able to see this dbo dot groups created here. Okay, okay, coming back to the lecture. Now next one, similar pattern, create a table, table name, same constraints. Number of columns is extra here, and that you can give up to you, like how many columns you want to use. So again, hit execute, and this table is also created, members table. If you refresh this one, once again, let me reconnect database, this one, tables, and you will be able to see members table as well. Okay, so though both the tables are created, right? So I was talking about the constraints. Now, in the data domain or data analytics domain, what happens? These tables are individual entity, right? But while we are trying to draw data or information from like joining different tables, there must be some kind of relationship between these tables, right? So for that, there is a constraint called foreign key constraint, okay, which help us to like connect more than one table, right? So right now what we are going to do is we are going to create a relationship, primary foreign key relationship between these two tables, okay. So what you have noticed is in this groups table, group ID is primary, okay, and in this table ID is primary, right? Now using this group ID, we are going to create a relationship. So that's where we have kept group ID in this members. Okay, so what is the syntax? Alter table, table name, because already the members table is created. So add the foreign key, we are going to alter the table. And then what is the syntax? Add constraint. And this is constraint name. And this is up to you, whatever name you want to give. So what I have given is fk underscore group. Okay. And then what constraint we are going to apply? Foreign key constraint on which column of this table? So group ID column of this members table. And how this is creating a foreign key foreign key? So it is referencing groups table group ID. So that's where we are writing references groups group ID. Okay. So now let's run this one and it will create a primary foreign key relationship. Okay, this is done. How do we test that? So again, come here, refresh. If you go to members table and just go to keys, so what you will see is one is primary key, which is on this one, and one is foreign key, which we just created, right? So all this detail you can see here. Now, not going to much detail on that. Let's focus on more operations on table. Okay, so we learned how to create a table, how to apply basic constraints on table, and then next we are going to see how to insert data into a table, because data without table is table without data is not going to help us, right? So that's where I have brought this code where what I'm doing is insert into. So syntax is insert into the table name and then values, and this bracket is first call row, right? So for in first row, we are putting group ID is 1 and group name is this cycling. Second record after comma within bracket will be 2 and swimming. Similarly, for table members, insert into members values. Let's say we give 1. The member name is Raman. Member's age is 21 and he belongs to group, let's say 1. Okay. Then second member, member number 2, it's his name is Sohan. Age is 23 and let's say belongs to group 2. Okay. Now let's run one by one. Run this one. 2 rows affected, that means 2 rows are inserted. Similarly, do same action for this one. Okay, 2 rows inserted. Now, what I said, since we are applying primary key, so if one is inserted in this primary key, duplicate won't be allowed, right? So once again, if someone is trying to insert one, it will throw error. We can see that with example here. If we try to rerun this code, it will throw error like this already exists or something, right? Because this 1 and 2 already entered. Let's test that. Okay, so what it is saying, violation of primary key constraint. Primary key constraint name is given here. Cannot insert duplicate key in object dbo.groups. The duplicate key value has been terminated. Okay, so this is the detailed message here. So that's what I was saying. If you're using primary key, it won't allow to enter the duplicates. So that is tested. Now we have to test this foreign key, right? So you would have noticed we have created only two groups as of now. One is cycling, another one two is swimming. Like let's say third person came here and he's saying, my name is, like let's say MD, and his ID, let's say we are giving 3. His age is, let's say, 31. And what he's saying, I'm not interested into cycling and swimming. I want to go to some third activity. Let's say I'm giving group ID 3. Okay, but remember, this 3 doesn't exist in our groups table. So what will happen if we run this one? If we run this one, you get something like this. Insert statement conflicted with foreign key constraint. Okay, the conflict occurred on this DB, all these details. So what is happening to insert this 3 in foreign key? It should actually exist first here. If it is not existing in here, it won't allow to insert any record. Okay, so this is kind of like creating foreign key relationships, kind of helpful in also verifying your data, right? Like you are taking entry for group 3, but actually group 3 doesn't exist, and that's where it is not allowing you to insert, right? So it is kind of doing data test also, right? So all this basic concept, if you understand, it will be very useful while working on any practical use case, and also helpful in the interview, right? Okay, so with this, I'll stop the recording. And see you in the next lecture. Yeah, thank you so much.